Welcome on into the podcast. I'm Brett,
I'm Dorian.
and we got some nerd news for you today.
We sure do. So, what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about Johnny Depp's possible replacement in Fantastic Beasts 3, more details on George Lucas' original plans for the sequel trilogy, some new PS5 details, and Mandalorian Chapter 11. But first things first, Wandavision.
Yeah.
It's not coming out this year.
Nope.
Just missed it.
Yeah. So basically, there's no really rhyme or reason that this is getting delayed to January, but as it sits now, Disney came out and said WandaVision's not coming out till January 15th, 2021. That's a good and bad thing. Number one, we got a release date. So it is coming soon. It's just not as soon as we would hope it to be, basically.
Yeah.
Zero reasons as to why. It's been done, and it's been done for months, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. If I had to speculate on why it's not coming out, my guess would be just the fact that they want to have more longevity. So Mandalorian is probably going to be finishing up probably towards the end of December, or
it's December 18th, because they actually released their full slate of like when episodes are coming out. So it's basically, it's right before Christmas. That makes sense. I would have liked the first week of January maybe for it to kick up, but it is what it is. So basically, there'll be like 2 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks basically, where there's no new content from Disney.
I mean, it seems like it's, they are going out there and saying, "Hey, Netflix, we know you got Cobra Kai season 3 coming out around the same time, but we're gonna give people a reason to still say subscribe to Disney Plus for a little while longer." But so I mean, this is going to be the first year since 2009 where there has been no MCU release, which it's wild. I mean, granted, nobody released anything this year.
True. But, it's interesting, and like next year hopefully is jam packed with new content. We're gonna get hopefully Winter Soldier immediately following WandaVision.
That would be nice.
But
that'd be real nice.
I wouldn't bank on it, but I can see it happening. And then Loki's originally supposed to come out in March?
I don't know. I don't know if they ever really set like a hard date or even like a window for that. I mean, we knew that
they said spring, right?
I'm not entirely sure. I know that was supposed to be a little ways off on, or at least after WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. So I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's exciting either way, I guess. It's kind of a bummer we didn't get it right around Christmas time when people are off work. I feel like, for those of us who are back to work at least, which is I think most of us, but
well, I mean, I think it might be just a possibility of just how most TV shows and, movies typically don't want to be put out right at the Christmas time mark, just because, I mean, I don't know. I don't know too many TV shows that do that. I think they usually take
a couple week break. Yeah, you're right.
A couple of weeks off here for the most part. Yeah.
In the Marvel universe, other good things are happening. Guardians 3 script is complete.
Yeah, James Gunn took Twitter, basically said that script's done. They're starting to do the production process, hire production heads for the movie. And also Gunn did say that this is his original idea that he is going with for Guardians 3 before he got fired and then rehired. So it's not like anything's gonna really change on this
right
front. So that being said, can't wait to watch this movie in 2030 or whenever things can actually start, get rolling for movie productions and COVID and all that, all that malarkey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Guardian movies. I didn't like the second one as much as the first one, obviously. I mean, I think that's just a general thing with movies, but
yeah, well, I think most people do feel that way too about Guardians 2. I mean, I enjoyed Guardians 2.
Yeah, I did too.
For sure. I mean, I definitely think that, Guardians 1 definitely had more comedic moments and jokes and that just land and hit, just one right after the other. Guardians 2 didn't quite have that much success on that front, in my opinion, but and also I think like there's just kind of like a lull in the middle of that movie that just kind of takes a while for things to kind of really get interesting or exciting or something like that. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully this is all gonna shake out and become, just a dope movie.
Yeah. And so yeah, good news from the MCU. Let's talk about some not so good news from WB. So if you don't know, WB owns DC. And so Snyder Cut 2's got some interesting news in that Zack Snyder took to I don't know if it was Zoom or what. It was some kind of
an interview of some sort, from what I gather. I think he was talking with Screen Rant or something like that.
Yeah, and he's been doing a lot of that. I mean, that's pretty cool for him to interact with people and talk to fans. But let's talk about the content of what he's talking about, because that's the not cool thing, in my opinion. So basically, he's already basically saying like he wants to do a sequel to the Snyder Cut. Correct?
Yeah.
So we've already gotten teased with stuff recently. We got the dark side tease of what he's going to look like in the movie,
which apparently it seems like the more information that we find out about the Snyder Cut, this is going to be more like flashbacks of Darkseid, like talking
the
about
nightmare sequence and all that stuff.
The nightmare sequence, like basically it's like I think like they were talking like maybe about 4 scenes out of a 4-hour long movie project, TV show, miniseries, whatever you want to call this thing,
Yeah, so and in the same exact conversation, he basically talked about his plans for a Ben Affleck Dark Knight Returns live action movie.
Right, because he didn't butcher that storyline good enough in Batman v Superman, so he's got to do it again, like in a proper format. It's like you did this storyline in Batman v Superman. How are you going to make this play out again? You had the Superman fight, you had him in the suit, you had the crusty old Batman, and guess what? You blew it.
Yeah,
I mean, somebody shut this guy down. Like he's going to ruin Darkseid 2 if he makes a Justice League 2. And how does it even fit into the DCEU continuity if there's a freaking Justice League 2?
Yeah, it wouldn't be part of any kind of continuity. I don't get how they're kind of pandering to Snyder right now, because he hasn't made anything good for him. At least not anything recent. And so,
I mean, really,
unless the WB execs are pumped about his Snyder Cut, that's the only thing I can see is like if his Snyder Cut is actually tolerable, I can see them throwing money behind it. I can see them doing that, because what else do they have going for them? They can have Batman's one of these characters where you could literally have 3 movies a year of different Batman. Yeah. And it'd be totally separate universes and it would still work. You could have the Robert Pattinson noir kind of one. You could have the flashy superhero one with Ben Affleck, and you could have Joyce Gordon-Levitt come back and do Batman Beyond, or whatever, I don't know. But that's what I'm saying is he's one of those characters you could do that with. It's just I don't know if we want that right now.
No, I mean, because right now it's like DC is like, it's just starting to find its footing here, and, the reason why it's starting to find its footing is because Zack Snyder is not really like, the unofficial like Kevin Feige of it, because you got to figure like this guy was the guy who did most of the first DCEU movies here. And I think the Warner Brothers logic and reasoning behind doing the Snyder Cut is like, okay, we tried to chase after that Avengers money. We made like a fraction of that with the Justice League. So let's see if we can try to recoup some of that cost with the Snyder Cut here, because again, I just think, this is what you guys should be kind of getting away from here, because this is the guy who is responsible for the state that the DCEU was in, and the reason why it had to be put on life support and like essentially resuscitated, and it's starting to like, again, find its ground, find its footing. You got your Wonder Womans, you got your Aquamans, you got Shazam, and Robert Pattinson's Batman and like some of the other projects that are upcoming, you know, that they sound promising and all that, but my gosh, it's like, don't give credence to the guy who put you there in the first place. That's my 2 cents on it. And I just think, you know, you honestly do not hire like one of the worst directors in Hollywood to screw up your project and even further. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. You know, there might be, you know, that's the dark side of the moon. You know, they're on the light side. You know, there could be some good things coming out of WB. One of them being the Peacemaker TV series that they're going to be doing on HBO Max following the Suicide Squad movie. And honestly, I'm a fan of John Cena when it comes to some of his roles he's played. Now, there's some other roles. I didn't really I don't follow the wrestling at all, but you know, I think he's a cool, funny guy. And
well, that's his best role, Brett.
What? John Cena?
Yeah, wrestling.
Oh yeah.
But what roles like have you seen John Cena in that you've liked him? Because I can't really remember like really any movies I've seen him in as of late here.
Yeah, he was in one of the Daddy's Home movies, only for a little bit.
I never saw that.
It hasn't been where he's led the movie that I've liked him. It's been little bits and pieces, and so it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I think he could be someone that pulls off this character, though. You know, looking into who Peacemaker is and like what he's about, and you know, he's trying to do the right thing. He's basically someone who is all or nothing. He's all or nothing when it comes to vengeance. He doesn't care if he kills people. Right. I can see some comedic stuff coming out of this as well.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like John Cena has the perfect temperament for this here and all that. But anyhow, I digress. Let's get back to like some of the new details on this here.
Yeah, so this is going to be exploring the origin, and so it's a prequel to the Suicide Squad, or where he'll be in Suicide Squad. It's going to be 8 episodes long, talking about just who Peacemaker is and how he came to be, basically.
Yeah, and they've also cast some characters that I don't know who they are, so I'm not going to really talk about them or pretend to know who they are, what they're about. So I'll let you guys
figure that one
out for yourselves. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and well, one of the interesting things. So I mean, it says it will explore the character's origins, but like that means like so many things.
It could be a flashback, and it could actually be a sequel to.
That's kind of like
Squad.
That's kind of like where my head is at. Is like, okay, is this going to be flashbacks, or is this actually taking place beforehand, or are they just going to like, is he just going to run into characters from his past that are going to talk about, who he was and what he did previous to the movie or something?
Right. But, yeah, I don't know. And WB has some more news for us because last week we talked about Johnny Depp getting kind of the axe from Fantastic Beasts, and apparently the director is pretty set on having Mads Mikkelsen step into that role as Grindelwald. So this is coming from Deadline. I honestly, personally, when I heard that, I was watching videos on like, because this was kind of big news last week, and I was watching some videos. This is like the top of fans' lists for who it would replace.
Honestly, it makes sense here. I mean, I haven't seen like a ton of stuff that Mads Mikkelsen has been in per se. I mean, you know, little roles here or there, but I mean, you know, but I do know that he's a high pedigree actor. He's definitely known for like, you know, owning a role or owning a show or like, you know, scene stealing for the most part here. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's unfortunate that, you know, that Johnny is essentially being replaced and they have to make do. But man, like this is probably a pretty good concession if that's who you're looking at or who you're going for here.
I'm hoping it's real. I hope that this isn't just hearsay, and that I know they were in talks with him. I hope he says yes, because he could be someone that kind of brings some new juice to the Fantastic Beasts franchise. Because honestly, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch, but I would rather have. Have you seen the first one? You haven't seen any of them, right?
Nope.
Okay, so basically, Johnny Depp's only been in one of the Fantastic Beasts movies because he was in disguise the first movie as Colin Farrell.
Okay.
And so honestly, it'd be cool if Colin Farrell, like let's just say he's like, oh, I got to take a poly. I don't know. It's good that they're recasting him, but Colin Farrell did a really good job as playing Grindelwald.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Anyway, but yeah, I see this as a good thing. Let's talk about some more good things though, because
before we get it too far into that, have you seen some of the Aquaman 2 stuff that's kind of been circulating around the internet?
No.
So people are now petitioning to get Amber Heard replaced from Aquaman 2, which I mean, rightfully so. I feel like if you're going to fire Johnny, you probably should fire Amber Heard here.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, some of the people that they're looking at having replace Mira is Amelia Clark.
Okay.
So that's one, but the best pick I saw was having Johnny Depp replace Amber Heard.
Oh gosh, can you imagine? I don't know if the world's ready for that, but
no one is ready for that. But I guarantee you,
Amelia Clark would be an interesting pick for sure. I think she could do a good job.
I think she would probably be like, really a really good pick for something like that. I mean, we'll see how that whole thing shakes out. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. I mean, it's kind of hard to know where like Hollywood standards are in terms of like, actor conduct or whatever here. But anyhow, I digress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Lucasfilm has kind of been on this rant of releasing old information about what Lucas's plans were for the sequel, and it seems to be changing day by day.
Yeah. So I mean,
Maul, like they basically came out and said Maul was apparently supposed to be the villain in his original plans for the sequel trilogy. He's supposed to be the villain and have an apprentice named Darth Talon.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? Because
okay, so basically, apparently, this is like information that's coming directly from George Lucas, and it's the news is coming to us from a new Star Wars book called Star Wars Archives, and it's covering years 1999 to 2005, which is basically, the time of Phantom Menace to Revenge of the Sith. So, but what Lucas is saying, according to this book, is Maul would have been the mob boss of like all crime in the galaxy, and he basically uses the fall of the Empire as an opportunity to see the power here. And it kind of goes on to talk about some other things about it as well. Like Lucas would have had this whole sequel series take place about a couple years after Return of the Jedi, with Luke rebuilding the Jedi and Leia being revealed to be the chosen one, which I'm not entirely sure like what that means or like what significance that would be in this type of context. I mean, it's interesting to have like these two conflicting versions, because we had like a couple weeks back another Star Wars book that came out talking about how the sequel trilogy that we got from Disney was, definitely borrowed some notes from apparently Lucas's vision, supposedly. I mean, so I don't know if this was necessarily like, an idea that Lucas had at one point after he was finishing up Revenge of the Sith, or if this was more of the like, and then like, it transitioned more into like, what we got in episode 7, 8, and 9, or if this is like one of these is complete, bullcrap and the other one is actually true. Who knows? I mean, it's
and if you don't know Darth Talon's in the extended universe, the Legends universe now, and so she was a Twi'lek and redskin, similar to Darth Maul, and she had kind of the same style of tattoos.
Right. Yeah.
She wasn't anywhere near a Maul, I don't think, in Legends continuity, but it would have been cool to have, honestly, a female Sith. We've never really seen that in any of the movies, and so
no, not live action wise, no.
But it would have been super cool, I think, to have this kind of idea come into the fold, because for me personally, like with all this information coming out, with all the do you remember when they were who was it? When Samuel L. Jackson was talking about like a Mace Windu series, or they were like, there was like rumors of something like that happening. I think it'd be cool if they want to attack the Disney Plus stuff really hard, doing like a what if series, or like a separate continuity to the movies, where like, hey, here's a season of what if, which is what if Mace Windu survived.
Yeah,
Where would he be? What if this happened? If Darth Maul was the Sith Lord and had Darth Talon, or there's a lot of different things,
or what
I think then contribute to the fandom, but not necessarily be part of the actual continuity of Star Wars right now.
Or what if Jar Jar Binks never existed here?
Or what if he was the Sith Lord?
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, no, I actually like that idea a lot. Just being able to see like a bunch of scrapped storylines essentially kind of be put together, kind of almost like in a Black Mirror kind of way here. And I mean, Marvel's doing it with their MCU. It's granted it's going to be animated. We're not getting a live action version of that. I don't think you would ever get. We would ever get a live action version of a what if type of scenario here. But no, I think that's honestly a fantastic idea. I mean, it kind of speaking to this whole idea of like, if this information is, legitimate from, Lucas. I mean, I don't know if this would necessarily been better per se than what we got.
Right.
I think honestly, like, we talked about it when we were doing our Thursday throwback for like the prequels. Like, I think if Lucas replaced Dooku and Grievous with Maul, I think you would have had like better movies out of it for one here. I think you would actually been able to utilize Maul in a much better way as opposed to just kind of having him be a one and done situation for the most part. But I will say, like, it's definitely would be more unique than what we got because I was listening to the Kanye West and Joe Rogan talk over the weekend, and I'm not gonna mark the calendar because I do not say this on often, but I think Kanye West got it right when he said that like Disney just kind of like put like was like really just put in the numbers in the machine and like almost had like a robot or a computer generate like the Star Wars.
Totally.
Yeah, it's like very corporate type of feel.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Which I think this would be the like the counter to that is like letting people be creative with storylines,
right?
Not really caring and having it affect the continuity. Yeah, I think it'd be just a cool idea personally. And I like the idea on. Well, I don't like the idea because honestly, people will be rolling over in their graves. I think if the whole Return of the Jedi with the like setting after that with Luke rebuilding the Jedi and Leia actually being the chosen one, I think would be kind of bullcrap, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you would have to actually do something to like actually make it justify.
It's Vader's story. Vader is the chosen one. Anakin's the chosen one.
Right.
It'd be stupid to think otherwise.
Right. Which I mean, even that, like, we don't even we talked about that. We don't even know what like that completely means just in the context of the movies here because but anyhow, but a what if type of situation would be the perfect way to like, really explore all these scrap storylines or like, all these things that, we could have gotten, but we didn't and all that. So I'd be totally into it.
For sure. Well, yeah, let's talk about some other stuff. I could speculate all day on Star Wars stuff, to be honest. I love doing it.
Sure.
Let's talk about another show. This is a show I'm excited about, and you haven't really checked out as much, but Umbrella Academy got officially what do you call it? Renewed for season 3. It's gonna be a 10 episode slate, and so not really any release window. I'm guessing it's gonna be in a year. Like they've been doing about a year between the seasons, and so this is standard Netflix.
Yeah, it is.
I'm pretty excited about it. I thought they did season 1 was okay. Like it wasn't great by any means. Season 2 was way better. Like way better. Like leaps and bounds better than season 1. And so if they're going to continue with that, they tease at the end of season 2 kind of what season 3 is going to look like, and I'm very, very excited and interested in what season 3 is going to look like. So
fair enough. Yeah.
Quiet Place. If we're talking, sequels, Quiet Place is kind of getting a spinoff, I guess. There was rumors of the sequel coming out, right?
Well,
so it was supposed to come out already, but COVID kind of closed everything about that.
Yeah, no, we have
a trailer and everything.
We have a trailer and everything. Like it literally was supposed to come out. Like
I forgot about that movie
a week or two before, like the whole COVID in March.
That's right. Yeah.
The whole thing took over or something like that. So
a spinoff. What's going on with that then?
So basically, it's not going to be directed by John Krasinski. He will serve as the producer. Some guy named Jeff Nichols will direct. I haven't seen any of his stuff, so I can't say whether he'd be a good fit or not. I mean, there's really no concrete details on what this movie will be per se. But they did specify this will not be a direct sequel or a Quiet Place Part 3 or however. So, and I was looking at kind of like what John Krasinski was saying about like, the unreleased Quiet Place Part 2 and all that. He is saying that this movie actually like expands like the lore and like and kind of like, gives you more insight onto like, what the creatures are or like, what they're doing and like all this stuff here and like, kind of fleshes out things more supposedly. So I'm assuming that this spinoff movie is going to be using like what is introduced in part 2 as kind of like a springboard to launch the spinoff movie. I'm guessing it's going to be following a different group of people trying to survive. You might be looking at maybe at the very beginning of like when these things actually popped up or how they came to be type of thing here. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm still not convinced we need more of these movies just because I thought if you just gave me A Quiet Place 1 and just ended it the way you ended it, I would have been totally fine with it here because I thought they covered all their bases, tied up loose ends, and honestly ended it well. So
yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, we don't really need another Quiet Place, in my opinion, either. I'm fine if they do or don't do it. I don't care. I probably won't watch it. So,
I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's like, yeah, I just don't understand what the. Yeah, I just don't understand like what the deal is per se here. It's like I feel like okay, I get it. You guys had a hit on your hands and all that.
yeah.
And I mean, I understand like where there's money, there is sequels here. But it's like, I don't know, it just seems like one of those things where uh you got to have like somebody in that office or like in the studio kind of being the the artist of integrity saying like, yeah, no, I don't want to like just turn this into a cash cow or a franchise where we have a billion sequels and pretty soon it's like what made it special is not there anymore type of thing here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's talk about some COVID delays. They're on a ton this week, which is good, but there's two kind of bigger ones we want to talk about. One being one of my favorite video game franchises when I was younger, maybe not so much anymore with, Mortal Kombat 10 and all that junk, even 11. But Mortal Kombat movie is indefinitely delayed until movie theaters open again, which who knows when that'll be.
Ever.
Insert Darth Vader no meme right there. And, I mean.
And the edit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could do that.
So but yeah, and then Witcher 2 is shut down due to people on set testing positive for COVID. And this is just going to happen. It's just part of life now.
It is, yeah. No,
so,
it absolutely is. So,
but it's a good week to be a Mass Effect fan.
It really is, yeah.
So talk about that.
So on November 7th, which is also known as N7 Day, it's basically kind of like the Mass Effect celebration day that they do every year or something. They announced the Mass Effect Legacy Edition. It got leaked a couple months beforehand, but now it's officially official. Basically what it is, it's a remastered versions of the first 3 games. It will be compatible with PS5 and Xbox Series X. All the DLCs included. It's optimized for 4K Ultra HD, and it will be coming out in spring 2021. So that was something that people have been wanting for a while now here, and there's not going to be like any like big like remakes or like touch ups per se in terms of this. This is mostly going to be like up-res ports for the most part. So
gotcha.
That being said, they did announce a new Mass Effect game is in development, and the thing that's important about this is they are bringing back the veteran team, the people who worked on the OG trilogy, not the people who worked on Mass Effect Andromeda, which that's the big piece of news. And it's good just because I mean Mass Effect hasn't had like any good showings this generation. Heck, BioWare itself hasn't had like any good like games this generation. So hopefully this is going to be the thing that puts BioWare back on track. And as far as like the collection of the Mass Effect games goes, I mean, it's good to see it happen. I'm kind of interested to see how well it holds up, just because I feel like things like The Witcher and probably Cyberpunk are going to be games that give you like a lot of choice that actually play out in a lot more impactful and meaningful ways than Mass Effect was able to do. So we'll see if like if it still holds up despite that. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have too much to say on Mass Effect, but let's talk about something everyone's talking about, and that's the PS5.
Yeah.
If you've been living under a rock, you probably didn't hear that Xbox Series X and the new PlayStation 5 came out last week.
Yep.
And we have some more information on the PS5, so let's talk about that.
So Sony has confirmed that they will be having 8K output for the PS5. I mean, currently right now on 8K TVs, it puts out at 4K.
That's 4 more Ks.
That is 4 more Ks.
Jeez.
So that being said, Sony basically says like when we will update this when we have software and content that does support 8K, which I mean, here's the thing is like, like it's only that like rich kid at school that's going to have that
right. Yeah.
TV. I mean, they're not exactly common in the wild. And I think 4K TVs are just starting to become more adopted like on a regular basis per se. But and another thing that broke this week was PS5 apparently had a much bigger design than it already is. Because
that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But we also got insight as to like why it was bigger and why it's as big as it is now. It's mostly for airflow because it has like, a larger fan to kind of
makes sense.
Cool. So I'm like, okay, I mean, makes sense. Still weird design though.
Yeah.
Here, in terms of like,
it's kind of
like a Wi-Fi or something. But but I think the biggest news for me, at least in my opinion, is we now have a clear understanding of how backwards compatibility works on the PS5.
That's big news.
Because the message has been very muddled over the course of months, and it seemed like it was going to be like a service on PlayStation and all this other stuff. But But here are the details. So 99% of PS4 games will work with the PS5. And games that have uncapped frame rates will run at 60 frames per second here. So you'll see like
dope.
It is pretty dope. I mean, so basically it's almost makes your PS4 obsolete here. But unless you want to play the following games, DWVR, Afro Samurai, Revenge of Kuma, Volume 1, TT, Isle of Man, Just Deal With It, Shadow Complex Remastered, Robertson, We Sing, Hitman Go Definitive Edition, Shodan, Joe's Diner, or PT, then you still need to keep your PS4 because those games don't play on PS5.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who has those games, so
I mean, I have Shadow Complex, but I like if it's a choice between playing, Shadow Complex and buying a PS5, I'm buying a PS5.
Yep.
I mean, this is honestly,
it's good news for PlayStation.
It's good news here, and it honestly makes the PlayStation a lot more valuable in my mind in terms of like a sensible purchase, just because I was honestly going to hold out until, I could get it for a discounted price, more games were on it. But now it's kind of like, okay, well, if it's going to play most of my library and, I'm going to be set for the next generation, it's kind of like, okay, well, might just be more beneficial just to buy this now. So,
yeah.
So,
well, we're going to head into our roundtable review and talk about Mandalorian Chapter 11, Eris.
Yeah, we are.
All right, Dorian, take it away.
Well, so again, spoilers ahead. We're not going to go break down the episode minute by minute, beat by beat per se. Here, we're just going to kind of give you like maybe a general overview and what we actually liked about it here. So, overall, best episode this season. I mean, granted, we only have like 3 episodes to base this
Super
on,
good episode, yeah.
But we are actually in the main course of like what this season is, or at least like getting to the main idea of the season here, which
the meat and potatoes.
The meat and potatoes. So basically, Mando and the frog lady and the child, they get to the planet that they were trying to make their way to in the last episode. They get there. Long story short, they find other Mandalorians, and it also happens to be Bo-Katan, who is a leader of this pack of Mandalorians here.
Well, she's the leader of the Mandalorians.
True.
Period. Yeah, so
but she's not the official overall leader just quite yet. She has to get a couple of things first, which
essentially her sister was, and then all this stuff. If you guys watch Clone Wars, you know what happens. I won't get into super great detail, but basically there's two factions of Mandalores when the Siege of Mandalore happened. And basically her sister was killed, and then these other Mandalorians tried to seize control, and then she had her pact, which actually brought to light kind of even more information about the Mando and kind of who he got found by and all that stuff. Anyway, Bo-Katan is revealed, played by her voice actor Katie Sackhoff, which is awesome. I think
it is. Yeah, I mean it's honestly like one of those things that's so cool that, like, the character actually looks like the voice actor from like
totally looks like her, which is
so you can actually like make that transition. Just it's great.
So basically, if you want a little bit of backstory on Bo-Katan, she is the leader of the Night Owls and lieutenant in Death Watch. So you have those blue kind of uniforms. That was Death Watch. She led them. And it was interesting because it looked like those are the same uniforms that found Mando, and that was before the siege, so it makes sense. But I'm wondering if Bo-Katan, might have been part of that. It's weird because the timeline seems off to me, being that she doesn't look very old.
I mean, because
if you're talking like episode 2 or
she was
3,
she was like looking like maybe like she was like probably like what in her 30s, like during that time.
I mean, she could be in her 40s in the Mandalorian, I guess, but she doesn't really look like it.
Well, and that's where I would probably peg her age in the Mandalorian here for the most part, just based on the timeline. And I could see her passing for 40 in all honesty, per se, but anyhow, but
yeah, anyway, her sister Satine ruled as the Duchess of Mandalore, and she was more pacifistic. So there's a whole backstory, but her sister more pacifistic, and Bo being a warrior. Yeah, so different leadership styles. And then you get the whole Darth Maul thing in there, and there's a whole couple of seasons really where Bo-Katan was an essential character in the Clone Wars. But we got her in this, which was super awesome. You kind of get the idea, and she alludes to it because they take off their helmets in this, and then Mando kind of gets like, he's like, who gave you that armor? And they're like, I can't remember the name of what they said, but basically the other faction of Mandalores have that Kree where you can't take off your helmet. And she's like,
I think they called them the Watch or something like that.
He was part of the Watch, but there was another name, and I can't remember what that meant. But anyway, so
which I mean, real quick, I am so glad they finally like actually explained this here, just because like when we were in the middle of season 1, I was kind of thinking like, okay, yeah, cool, like this is actually giving us more ideas of like what the Mandalorians are, but now but it's still kind of conflicted with like, okay, well, what about Jango Fett and Boba Fett? What about like these people in Clone Wars that are taking off their helmets all the time and stuff? And it turns out that Mando is essentially a part of a cult that
pretty much
is like kind of clinging to like
old traditions,
like very old traditions and creed essentially here. So
and I thought it was pretty cool. There's a lot of hype around what's the wrestler's name? She played one of the Mandalorians in this. I can't remember her. Sasha Banks.
Okay.
Being Sabine, she's not, I don't think. They didn't even talk about her name in the episode. I looked it up after, but it wasn't Sabine, so I was like, whatever. But anyway, there's some stormtrooper jokes thrown in there, like they couldn't hit the broadside of a bantha, like stuff like that, which is very true. We got Moff Gideon back in a hologram form. basically, Mando is a complete bad mamma jamma in this episode. You guys could take a look at that. What I mean by that, and this kind of how the Empire is structured now reminds me of like Hitler, Stalin, World War II. And basically
like remnants of like the Nazis.
And they'd take like poison pills that they'd hide in their teeth to kill themselves. And that's basically what happened in this episode with the guy, because they basically hijacked a big old freighter full of arms and stuff. And so and then we get an Ahsoka Tano name drop and a location basically of where she's at. That was kind of the deal of the whole episode. Mando didn't want to team up with them.
Because it was basically like, you guys are not like, you guys aren't true Mandalorians type of thing here.
So
he was just going to kind of pass them by here, but
they saved his butt twice. So super great action. I would say, if I had to rate this 9 to 9.5 out of 10, I think it's one of the better episodes in general. It kind of does everything we need, right?
I think you absolutely are right. I think 9 is like probably the perfect number I would give this episode. Dope action, furthers the plot, there's world building, it's all here. So I mean, it's basically like everything that you love about, or at least I love personally about the Mandalorian.
Right.
It all got.
We got more Mandos.
Well, and like even like little things like when they're pulling Mando's ship out of the bay and all that, like they used like AT-ATs like
with cranes on them,
with cranes on them and all that, which I'm like, okay, that's dope, But yeah, man, Razor Crest, like it is so jacked up now here, man. I thought like when it went into the water, I thought like, okay, that's done. There's no more Razor Crest here, But
still holding together. I don't know how much longer, but we'll see.
I mean, it needs a paint job here.
And then Bryce Dallas Howard's the one that directed this. She directed the episode where he basically
goes to the village.
So I thought she did a great job with this.
No, she did. I think this is definitely this was a good episode.
But I guess that's it. We don't have anything else for you guys this week, but thanks for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Check us out on our social medias, on YouTube, all that stuff. Make sure you subscribe. And remember, everyone's a nerd about something.